Every student can learn, just not on the same day or in the same way. George Evans. I'm Christina Werner, and today I am doing a persuasive speech. The purpose of my speech is to encourage or persuade parents to stop seeing special education as a place for those who are physically disabled and see that there's so much more behind special education than that. The definition of special education is the practice of education for students with special needs in a way that addresses their individual needs and their differences. Some history behind special education. Prior to the 1970s, children with noticeable handicap disabilities weren't really seen in the public schools. And specific learning disabilities weren't really heard of back then. Kids weren't tested for that kind of stuff until about 1975 when there were some federal laws enacted. The EHA, which is the Education for All Handicapped Children Act, was established for the right of public education for all kids, regardless of disabilities. And then the IDEA, which is the Individuals with Disability Education Act. And this required schools to provide individualized or special education for kids with qualifying disabilities. Within qualifying disabilities, there are 13 different categories for special education. Some of those are visual, some are auditory, multiple disabilities, EBD or emotional behavior disorders, mental retardation, and hearing impairments. And there's also specific learning disabilities. More than 1 in 7 students have a disability that qualifies them for special education. And in 2012, there were over 128,000 students that were receiving special education services. This number was up 14% since 2001. Of these students, 46% of them were students with specific learning disabilities. That's a huge number. So it's not just students who have autism or a Down syndrome or look physically different. These are kids that look completely normal. And a lot of times we see parents who deny their children testing to qualify for special education. A teacher will see that a child is having some auditory processing deficits or some executive functioning deficits or struggles from ADHD, and they feel that it's necessary to get them some special education services. But the parent doesn't understand this whole process. So they hear the word special education and right away they think my child is physically looks normal. There's nothing wrong with my child, but it's so much deeper than that. There are several learning disabilities, dyslexia, children who have trouble comprehending what they're reading. It's a huge number. In fact, I took and got information from a student with whom I actually have had the privilege to work with because I've been in the special education field as a para for the last 6 years. And just to show the growth that he has made from before and after his services. And in his IEP, which is his individualized instructions, the only difference that we have made is we now read the tests that he takes out loud to him. So now, because he doesn't have to try to read it himself, he gets a completely better understanding when somebody is reading it for him. And that's a huge difference in kids. And you could see that his test scores were right around the 40 to 45% mark, and now they're anywhere from 93 to 100%. So special education services for just kids with specific learning disabilities has is a big improvement. So please see that special education is more than just those for those who are physically disabled. It's so much deeper than that. It's so much deeper than that. And as I said before, every student can learn, but not on the same day or in the same way. George Evans.